All right, and here we are, the Commissioner's Corner, episode 3, brought to you by, sponsored by Smash House. Of course, who else but Smash House? So we had some great games last week. We'll discuss that. We'll talk about we're gonna go through all the teams and see what's going on. Me and Yes will go through it all. But before we get going, yes, July 4th, Shabbos, talk to me. What's going on? How's your weekend?
Nice Shabbos. We had a offer from my shul, so there were some new people heading in shul this week, and a few guys came over to me and asked me about full ball. Guys who haven't played in the league, they heard we have full ball. When's it going to start? What's it about? All that, and it's a recurring theme. This week I got texts from people about full ball. It's coming up. Full ball is coming up. We're looking forward to full ball draft. A lot of guys who weren't in the league who want to get going in the league, show off their stuff, maybe get picked on a team for the spring and summer season. So we're very excited about full ball. Looking to play Sunday nights, Monday nights, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. As many games as we could get in, chilled atmosphere. Full ball. I didn't play last year in full ball. I watched every game. I'm hoping to get into it this year, but we're really looking forward to it. How was your Shabbos?
Shabbos was great. It came off a rough Friday. Pickleball. I was not holding my own, so I needed a Shabbos to recover, and Shabbos was solid. Shabbos, I got my Tums. It's interesting. I got to sit near Morty Chamberwitz, proud papa of Levi Chamberwitz, and he was discussing our podcast with me. So,
Nice.
everybody's watching the podcast, enjoying. So, shout out to Morty Chamberwitz. Appreciate you watching. And thank God we've gotten good feedback about the podcast. So, let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it going. So, let's start with last week's games.
All right.
And
So last week's games, we had Sunday morning, as always, we had two games. Vision Vinyl took care of business against Day Three. I came to that game, I think, in the beginning. I don't know if I stayed the whole game. Day Three was missing a lot of guys. They played shorthanded, and Vision Vinyl took care of business. They had Yehuda Silver pitching. Yehuda Lichstein had a big game. Their guys were there, and they played really well, and they got a much-needed win. They're not. I'm pretty sure they're still in the playoff hunt, for
it's
that final
interesting.
spot. So that was a
You
big
know what?
win.
You know what? Vision Vinyl General. They have some talent. There's Shai Zimmerman. They have a good when he's pitching silver. That's a top-notch pitcher. Tzvi Haas, we've mentioned. Abba's having a great solid bounce back season. So there's talent there, and they're still in it. They're still in it.
They definitely have talent, and they haven't played much better. And we'll see what happens the last two games and how they move forward next season. What about
Exactly.
Orchard game? I think that was your game. I was not at that game.
Yeah. So the Orchard game was 3-0 Consumer over Jules by DK. So let's talk about Consumer, and you'll know this. Maybe you can give an insight to this. Moish Nussen. Moish Nussen going back, and this is not a knock to him, but he was always a number two pitcher. We can look at him. Everybody looked at him for years as a number two pitcher, and last year he just picked it up a notch to become a number one. He shut us down, and we didn't have our A+ roster, but we had a good enough roster. But yes, maybe you can give insight to what you're seeing that he's doing differently, which now he's a top tier one pitcher, and I'd like to give him, his accolades.
Yeah, so Mudge Nussen, when you look at him, you look at his stuff, you're saying, okay, we're coming into this game. He's not going to blow anybody away. We're going to get hits, right? Just stand back, wait for it, turn on it, line drives. And it's a simple game plan. It just never happens. We played them in the playoffs last year. They beat us. They beat us. They could have swept us. He pitched a great game. There were a few errors. They beat us in three. And after the series, we're like, what happened? How we had our A team for every game. How'd he beat us? He just does it. You know what? He has pinpoint control, it seems like. He has that little mat. He holds the glove in front of his face, tries to do some intimidation that way. He's slow. He's meticulous. And batters are off balance. And you know what? He has a great field. The guys, usually it's the same roster every week. They know where to play. He knows where to pitch to get it to his guys, to get it to Dovey, to get it to Chesky
The
in the outfield.
Rosenbergs, Heskey, and their third baseman, Mayor Stimmel,
Mayor still when he shows up. Akiva
when he shows
Rothbard
up, Rothbard is
playing a
always
great
plays
third base.
a solid Flocks. You know what you're getting. I mean, they
Yeah,
play a tight field. They score just enough, And Moish has just been pitching. He's been pitching great. We walk away. I think we had like 4 or 5 total hits. And we're like, how
Right,
did that happen? But it seems like that happens to every team that plays them. Is like,
right.
we talk about the top tier teams. We don't mention Consumer enough. Even though they won a championship, you talk about RSK, MJ, Jules by DK, Maroktim. Consumer's going to be a pain in the neck to a
They're
lot of
gonna.
teams
It's
again.
gonna be the
To
same.
don't just push
Yeah,
them off. They're going to be there as much as you look at them. You're like, nah, yeah, Consumer
it's
is
gonna be
going
the
to be
same
there.
thing. Yeah, they're a
Yeah.
pain. They're a pain. They're a pesky team, and the pesky teams are hard to beat. What
Then
about
I'm going
your
to talk
team? What do you
about,
see?
Jules by DK is this solid. We're on paper if everybody shows up. The issue that I'm seeing that's really bit them in the past years in the playoffs is, a guy like Uri, who's a great player, and Naftali Rosenberg is great, and Levinson, and they just don't show up enough. And then also when playoff comes, and they're all coming, the consistency, the chemistry. That's my concern of Jules by DK. Then also Penny having to manage, as they get closer to the playoffs. But I think most important thing is having Uri, Naftal, it's called Avrami, Levinson, Lauer. There's talent there. Yossi Rosenberg is always consistent. Mendy Halper does a great job.
Big
Playing
Joe.
second. Aaron Schwartz, and let's not. Joe's having MVP season. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm there for all the games. Joe is batting like 600. He has like 15 ribbies, 15 runs. He's playing terrific. But is Uri going to be there for the games? Is Avrami going to be there? Is
Right.
Aaron Schwartz is turning it on now, so it's good to see that. But I think that's
So,
going to be the biggest thing that from a Jules
so are
by
you
DK.
saying that Jules by DK is the exact opposite of Consumer? Consumer comes at their guys. The talent is definitely not as good, and I'm not bashing anybody, but Jules by DK's talent is better than anybody else's when all the
Yeah,
guys are there. They're
yeah,
up there with MJ and Marat. So you have Consumer just they all show up and they run through the playoffs, and then you have teams like Jules by DK. Even my team last year, we put in some guys that didn't play all season, and maybe that upsets the apple cart. I don't know. Maybe that's something.
yeah. That's what I say. David Sanchez having a great season. Now playoff comes, Uri's going to show up, and I've run to show up. What do you do with a David Sanders type player who's playing great? How is Penny going? That's going to be a big juggle by Penny. But
It's not
ultimately,
easy.
you
Not
want to
easy.
develop chemistry going into the playoffs, not just hey playoffs we're here. I find I've seen it in the past with TP and Jules by DK, which that is a challenge. We'd love to see those guys
Chemistry
play
is
more.
definitely something.
Yep.
Definitely something. The night games, quickly to the night games last week. EYG took care of Precision. Maroktim destroyed. I was at the Maroktim Cobra Rentals game for a little bit. Yossi Kaufman came into pitch in Orchard, and he dominated. He dominated. The Cobra Rentals guys after the game were saying like they've never seen pitches like that before. I guess he dominated, and his pitches moved so much that Yitzy Rosen tore a ligament catching Yossi
Yeah.
Kaufman. So full
You know,
domination there.
Yeah, he's Marakim has a lot of pitchers. You have Zevi, Kaufman. I saw Diamondstein pitch this week. He came in from
Diamondstein,
Florida. He's now, and he pitched. Great to
Zwick.
see him up here. Great guy. Great to see him up here. But I'm going to throw some players out that may go under the radar with the Marakim team. You have Big Crunch. He's having a terrific year. If you watch all the games, big spots, Big Crunch is going to hit the shot. Um, he should be getting, I don't want to say he's getting respect, but he's really, really been consistent this season, as is MD Weissmandel. He also, because you have Ellie Race and Rosen and Donnie and all these named players, and MD Moshe Weissmandel, who's there for all the games, he's batting close to 400, plays consistent, whether he's playing second base or shortstop. Those are good players consistently playing and playing
And
top of his game.
we're missing you're missing someone you didn't call him. Sam Race leading the league in RBI still, 19
Oh,
RBIs in 11 games, having a great
good
season.
call.
He's batting towards the bottom of the lineup. That means guys are getting on base for him, and he's knocking them in. I still would like to see him not swing at the first pitch every time he's up,
Yeah,
but you can't
that's a
argue
fun
with
time
19 RBIs.
we always have with him when he's at the bat
He's
at the
great.
plate.
We love Sam. We love Sam. And Nati is usually behind the booth when Sam's up, so we get the double race in there.
Yeah.
We had Double R taking care of MS Motors. I wasn't there. I heard it was a sloppy game, some sloppy fielding, but Double R got a big win that game. They were celebrating. It was a nice win for Double R. And
Yeah.
then the last game of that night, Sunday night, was RSK versus MJ, which on paper before the game was supposed to be the game of the week. 2-9 and 2-9 and three teams over there. MJ was missing some players, including Solomon, including Grossman, including Al. So they were missing some big firepower. They still had a lot of guys there: Levine and James Potash, Shummy, along with some others. RSK came with most of their guys, and RSK, it was close in the beginning. RSK ended up blowing them out. But what's the big thing in that game, I think, is an MSL record. Unless someone could tell me it's not. RSK strung together 10 straight legit hits in the sixth inning. They went around the order, no walks, no errors, 10 straight hits, scored, I think, nine runs. Max Nussbaum had a huge 3-run home run as well to put the game away. But I've never seen that before. You see
Wow.
walks, you see errors, 10 straight hits.
Well,
That was a
again,
big win.
when RSK is coming with their roster, you're talking about Max has been great. You have Noah Shatkin been hitting well. There's a nice Ralph. I don't know. I know Ralph started off hot. I don't know
He's
if
still hot. Still
he's
hot.
still hot. So there's some when your team when RSK is there, they are and you're on the mound. You're always going to pitch. You're as consistent as they come. That's a solid, a solid
Yeah.
team they got there. And your third baseman, I don't know, Levenbrett,
Isaac. We just
Isaac,
call him Isaac.
just call him Isaac.
Isaac
'Cause
something.
He's a smaller
Yeah.
guy, but he turns on that ball. He
Oh,
turns on that ball.
he has
He's a
one. He probably has the prettiest right-handed swing in our league. It's a beautiful swing. He's a professional hitter. I remember when he was younger playing against me in Teaneck. He was 13 years old. They made him wear a helmet. I'm like, who is this guy? I was in my prime. I'm a 30-year-old guy pitching to this guy helmet. 12-year-old guys, no chance. And he was crushing balls at 12. So speaking of Max Nussbaum, by the way, a few
yes. Go
things.
ahead.
First, the good. He's second in the league in RBIs in only 8 games. He's got 16 RBIs in 8 games, including a league-leading 5 home runs. So when he's there, and he's been there for 8 out of the 12 games. It's pretty impressive. He's crushing it. Though he did come up in a big spot the next night against Avi Edelman in a very sloppy game. I had nothing that game. I came, I pitched two games on Sunday. I came straight from.
That's as sloppy as I've ever seen RSK play.
Oh man,
I was like,
it was
Yitz is holding it together, but I mean, drops. There were drops, easy just
it
drops. I'm like,
drops.
what is going
It
on?
was a sloppy game, but you know what? It was 4-2 in the eighth inning. Second and third, 2 outs, and Max is up. We don't want anybody else up. Maybe Isaac, who was batting right behind him, and Edelman struck him out to end the inning. He struck out Max Nussbaum. He then posted it on his HSL thing. Muncie's pride and joy. Max Nussbaum strikes out. So that's a big
Max
deal.
bulletin board material for the MSL
Yeah,
HSL All-Star Game.
that's definitely going to be bulletin board material for sure. We're not worried about Max. He's going to come back tomorrow night and do some damage, I'm sure. Quickly, some other games last week. We had the Precision against Cobra. Oh, wow. I forgot. Huge. You go. Ezzy, go for it.
You got to talk about Precision. I'm going to give this Precision big W. They've, as the season has gone by, you actually see how Uri is managing the team. This team started out with guys moving around different positions. I know Uri was trying to figure out who's the best to play which position, who's your third baseman, who's this, who's your outfielder. But I think most importantly is they found themselves a pitcher. King has been
Yep.
pitching terrific. He reminds me like the pajama pant pitcher. Not going to blow
Yeah.
anybody away, but very similar style. He has a little zip on it. He is not walking anybody. So I'm going to give Uri credit for finding King, giving him the opportunity to pitch. They also have Davidowitz. They picked up. He's from Queens. He's here for the summer. He made some spectacular plays
Yeah.
out there
Yeah.
in the outfield. Some big hits, big shots. Definitely, I give for that. I give credit to Uri for holding it together. And again, great team chemistry. You have Nimni on that team, David Weisberg, Big Daddy. You have Stashman Sion is a great
Yeah.
Shamshi Stillman Altuve.
Yeah. Shimshi,
Um,
Zach,
yeah,
Koenig,
there's just they're fun teams, right? Zach the P missile. They're good
Yitzy Shipper,
chemistry.
our insider.
Yeah. So to me, but I believe that Uri has at this point found where everybody's positioned, and King is keeping them in games. And as long as they just stay to that, I think they can win a couple more games and something to
Yeah,
build on for next season. That's what I
yeah,
think most, and
100%.
Ori keeps
That's
saying it.
all it's
Ori keeps
about.
saying it. Let's build for next season. And I think they have a core. They need some hitters, I think, but definitely something to build with.
Yeah, and then on the last Tuesday night got rained out. Wednesday, two fantastic low-scoring games. Dave Norman, the ump. You had Camp Maroctum against Double R. I think that was what 2-0 game maybe.
Yeah, that was
Um,
yeah, the 2-0 game.
who pitched for
Double
Camp
R,
Maroctum?
Double R always plays Maracton well.
Who
They
pitched for
do.
Maroctum? The game you were there? Who pitched?
That
Was it
was
Zebby?
Diamondstein. That was a
All
Diamondstein
right,
game. That
right.
was Diamondstein
Diamondstein
pitched in that
shutout,
game.
right? Or 2-1,
Um,
something like that.
yeah. You did. John Penn pitched a great game. It was a 2-0 game. Um, but I'm gonna throw a shout out to Rafi.
Yeah,
Again, a good guy, good putting the team in a position to win games. They have a young third baseman. They have a young guy. They have Wolfman, obviously, playing for them. They have a shortstop. They have a shortstop Rosenberg, but they've
we
been
know
playing with a
Rosenberg.
third baseman. I believe his name is Itzkowitz.
Shimmy Itzkowitz.
A solid. I
Wonderful
mean, the
kid.
young kid, it has to be 17, 18. Can't be much older than that
No,
again.
he's not.
But
No.
he's solid, made some great plays. And Donnie Stein, we spoke about this, and he said a
He
big
wants the
problem with
award.
exactly he wants the base coach of the year award. He said last year the team got into running mistakes, dumb mistakes, and this year they're not doing it because he's coaching on the bases. So he
He does
wants a shout
every
out.
base.
He wants a shout out. Base coach of the year. Better than coach of the year, base coach of the year. So
Base coach.
Donnie, something to discuss.
And then the next game was a tremendous game I heard as well. I think MJ won the game 3-2 over Cobra. So that another Solomon pitched, and it was a low scoring game. Who pitched for Cobra that game? Was it Karish?
That was
I think it was
Karrasch game. That was a Karrasch game. Karrasch pitch, again, Karrasch is a solid pitcher. We don't
Karish
see
has
him enough,
movement.
but he's
Right.
he's a solid pitcher. Talking about MJ Dragons, great pickup, Dovie Friedman.
We
He
love
last
Dovey.
season, I played with him last season, and he started off like he wasn't consistent. I don't know, it was nervousness. As the season went on last season, you saw him picking it up. And this year, he's tearing the ball. You can play him at third. You can play him at shortstop. You can play him in different positions. And he's a great guy. I'm glad Shumi's back from his injury, with his hamstring. And Naftali's doing his job. And Al's tearing the ball this year. Al is definitely on
Yeah,
his
no,
game.
MJ's a great team, but that's why I'm surprised he only scored 3 runs. And I heard the last one was a controversial play. I actually spoke to the umpire after. It could have been called interference, obstruction, whatever it was. They got the final run on it. You know what? Bang, bang. Hard to call that.
Yeah.
And tough loss for Cobra. Good win for MJ. And that's the way
Yeah.
it goes sometimes.
And we
You
always
win
talk
some, you
about
lose some.
Yosef Grossman with his food and eating, but we have to give him credit. Yosef
Who's
Grossman is
there?
a big piece to that MJ team. We make fun of him and everything. We have a good time with him. Great personality for our league, but he's bottom line is he's a hitter. He's a player.
Oh, yeah, we know. Yosef's an all-star. We'll talk about that in a minute. Quickly ahead to this week's games. Tomorrow we got Consumer EYG. Should be a good game in the morning. Jules by Double R again in Orchard. So Jules is getting those stat padding games. Last week it didn't work out.
No,
We'll see
no.
what happens.
A lot of us were excited last week to come to play to pad our stats a bit, but total of 4 hits did not help many people.
Correct. And Double R, it seems like Double R's home field is Orchard. They play there a lot.
Yeah.
So we got Maroctum against Vision later on. Again, mismatch on paper, but who knows? Vision's been playing better. We'll see who shows up. MS against Precision. Again, on paper, seems like a mismatch, but Precision's been playing better. RSK against Cobra. Again, on paper, mismatch, but Cobra, Simcha's they got a good team.
Yeah,
And
yeah, for
finally,
sure.
and another mismatch on paper. At 9:20, we got MJ against Day 3. So as we're last week, every game seemed like on paper, great matchups. We do have some, mismatches on paper, but as they say, any given Sunday, or that's baseball Susan. But
That's
the big game of the
absolutely.
week, I'm looking all the way forward. I see on Tuesday, Maroctum against MJ. Now, supposedly, last week, Maroctum, the game they got rained out, supposedly they had the roster of the century coming to that game.
Ellie Race did
Zin.
not want that game rained out.
Yeah.
Ellie Race was all over that one. He got his rakes ready to go. He said his roster is stacked.
He, he actually showed me the roster, and I don't know if he was joking, but in the lineup, both Kaufman and Diamondstein were both supposed to pitch that game. So,
Wow.
yeah, Zin, Nenner, everybody. So I'm assuming it's Tuesday night. I'm assuming they're going to come up. Hopefully MJ comes up with all their guys, because that is definitely a game I am looking forward to. A lot of All-Stars in that game. So, for both, let's talk about that now. Because, as you know, next Tuesday, July 15th, save the date.
Save the dates. It's going to be a big night here in Muncie. Originally scheduled for the Five Towns this game. After a rain out, we pulled it back here to Muncie. And we're going to be
Yes.
having the MSL versus HSL run by Avi Edelman and David
Not
Gottlieb there.
playing, not playing in the game,
Avi did not make
He
the
didn't make the cut.
roster. Avi's going to sit with me in the booth. But I didn't make the cut either, Avi. It's
It might be,
fine.
Ezzy, you sure he's going to be there? It might be too cold for him.
That is true. And then, can we throw it out there that there will be Smash House food by the game, sponsored. It'll be a great game. We have swag giveaway July 15th next week. Yes, we'll get into more player breakdown maybe
Yeah,
next week.
I think next week we will unveil the rosters, the starting lineups. Next podcast, that's going to be great.
But definitely save the date, July 15th. We'd love to see. We've been talking up that if the game is in Five Towns, none of the Five Towns people are showing up. And me and Gitz have been saying
You
it.
have to
You
come.
come to Muncie, we're all showing up. All the players of the
Yeah.
league, families of the. Let's show it to them. Let's show the HSL what our family is like here, the MSL.
So Grossman is on the roster. That's known. The problem is when we posted a poll if he's going to be available, he's not one of the only guys who wrote maybe. Now that he hears Smash House, that maybe is going to he's going to be in 100%. The question is, will Yitzy Rosen be healthy? I know Aaron Schwartz is pining, to get in. He's playing great.
And I
There's
have
a
to
lot
say,
of
he's been
guys.
playing great. Aaron's been playing great. I know there's been talk of Rosenberg, the shortstop, playing
Double R.
for Double R. That he's been hitting
So,
great.
so this is something
There's
I
some
think we'll
players there.
discuss. As the commissioners will discuss about adding, because we made this roster real early. We were supposed to play in
Yep.
May. So we're going to discuss, Yaakov, you and myself, maybe adding some guys, maybe one guy from each team, add them to the roster. Does that mean they're going to play? Who knows? But maybe guys who've been playing great the last 2 months, there's no reason they shouldn't be on the roster if they played enough games this year. So we'll discuss that this week. We might add a guy like Ari Rosenberg, Sam Race, having we'll talk about that.
Let's talk about it. We have a
Okay.
big roster as is, trying to get everybody on.
Ezzy Cats. And it should be great, and we're really looking forward to it. Again, the guys have
And
to come
again,
out.
we're looking for a big turnout there. Let's get some
We pumped
energy,
it up.
and let's
We
have a
told
fun time
them.
with that. And we'll talk about it next week. But again, that's
And
July
we're gonna post.
15th.
We're actually gonna post a poll in the chat because we have to know who's gonna be there, so Smash Us knows how much food they have to prepare and bring. So looking forward to a great week of action. Let's continue the good
Absolutely.
vibes, and we will see you on Sunday. Take care,
Awesome.
guys.
Yes,
See you
always
soon.
a pleasure. Enjoy.